How to guarantee yourself the ability to make more money.
I like that. Let's write this down.
I think it's where we need to start. You know, many times people say, hey, fix different problems in your life. But if you don't fix your financial problems, you don't have to be a multimillionaire. But if you don't fix your financial problems, you don't have the mind space in order to work on other areas of your life. Nikola Tesla famously said, my brain is a receiver of information. But what are we taught in the school system? That our brain is to be jammed with things that you have to memorize, and this is blocked information, and this is how your brain works. Well, what if we're only tapping into 5% of our brain? What if the conversation here is, dude, what if I have to get smarter and tap into more of my brain? What if that's the maybe if you're operating off of 2%, you deserve to be broke because you're not operating at your optimal. So how do you expect to have optimal results if you're not operating optimally? It doesn't make any sense because you're going to attract that which you are. Naturally, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you have a negative thought, you're not just having a negative thought. There's an entire process attached to that.
There's energy going out.
It's putting you in a different frequency. Well, what's the best frequency to be in? If this is the scale of positive and negative emotions, I want to be at the highest scale of positive emotions. Understanding that anything that you do needs to be in high demand. Any type of endeavor that you take on needs to be in high demand. If you want to, for example, have a gardening business, it would be very foolish for you to have it in Manhattan because the demand for it is not going to be the same as if you have outdoor, let's say Tennessee or here in the outskirts of London, where there's a lot of demand. So whatever you touch needs to be in high demand. I see people being like, hey, I want to start an application. I want to start the next Uber. I want to have these illusions of wealth, but they're actually traps because they're not in high demand.
If your website, for example, a link doesn't work on it, I make a judgment about that business. It's not well managed. It's not, first impressions matter. And I think a lot of people don't realize how quickly people will make a decision whether or not they're going to work with you. So your high demand drops instantly because you're not following these basics.
And you improve it as time goes on. So how do you do it? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So what's the feedback telling you about what you're doing? Are the reviews good? Are the reviews beneficial? Do you manage the images on your social media presence? Yes or no? Like, what is it? How is it that you are positioning yourself to recruit new talent? I realized I was like, people think LinkedIn sucks, but who thinks that? You know, I'm trying to find super top tier talent. Okay, looks like I need to have a LinkedIn presence because that's where a lot of professionals happen to be. So that's what the feedback told me. So I had to act upon the feedback. And then I started getting better people on the inbound because my first impression was great. People knew what they were getting into. So the first impression is super important. Pick something, do something that gives you longevity. You don't want to be restarting a new business every 2 years. You want to take your time and build something that's going to be on a solid foundation, irreplaceable, undisputable, and that you're not going to have to be competing with robots that are going to be really cheap, cost efficient, and working 24/7. You need to understand that you got to be playing the future game because the world is accelerating and you don't need many people. That's what most people don't understand. You can do a lot more damage with 300 Spartans, right?
Yeah.
So what you need to do is find those individuals that cover the bases that are essential for a business to succeed that you can't cover. And if you fall under the delusion that you can cover everything, then that's a fallacy. Maybe in the next couple of years when AI can become the best co-pilot partner and you don't have to shell out equity or sweat equity to anybody, that future may come. We'll see billion-dollar unicorns by a single.
But it's going to be more competitive at that point too.
Exactly.
So you know.
How can I take from somebody something the first time that I meet them? How can I extract a couple pennies, a couple dollars from this guy like a hungry motherfucking dog? Excuse my language because it pisses me off. They don't focus on lifetime value.
No, that is a big mistake a lot of people make.
They don't focus on the lifetime value of the customer. They focus on the quick money. So the input is the fast, first relationship, first interaction. They don't think about what's the long-term perspective? What's the long-term journey of this individual with me? When you focus on long-term value and lifetime value, which is so much bigger because it costs more to acquire a new customer than to sell an existing customer another product, then you stop focusing on making the money in the front end. And you focus on allowing the lifetime value of the customer to yield returns long-term, whether it's money, whether it's opportunities, whether it's connections, resources, it really depends. AI is going to replace digital experiences. Therefore, people are going to crave physical experiences. So that to me is a long-term narrative that makes me operate differently. Initially, when you're trying to hustle and make your first money, you want to be on the trends. You want to, the next thing, till you build up your cash flow. Eventually, you want to get into your narratives, your long-term plays. When people are like, you know what, back in the day, digital taxis and the ability to just order a taxi through an application, that's a long-term thought. The trend is, look at all the other AI stocks that are now pumping because of NVIDIA. Do they deserve to pump? No, but it's part of the trend. Same thing with crypto, right? Does it operate on narrative? Bitcoin may operate on the narrative of, hey, it's fair money, it's open ledger. But inside of crypto, you have trends like meme coins. Are meme coins and Bitcoin correlated? No, but it's a trend that now happens because of the macro narrative. So if you understand narratives and you understand trends, you can assure yourself to make money, because where attention goes, money flows. We know that. So you have to go where the demand is. So that's breaking down demand. During the whole metaverse kind of experience where Facebook rebranded to Meta, they were hiring engineers and paying them 50% on top of whatever it is that they were usually getting, because they were irreplaceable. And Google would come and be like, hey, we'll hire you for an extra 30%. And because they're irreplaceable pieces, they secured their ability to transact. Because all you're doing as an employee is you're selling your services to a business. Whether you believe it or not, you're kind of an entrepreneur. You've just labeled it differently with the W-2 or whatever it is that you have in the paperwork, depending on your country. But if you're the best at what you do, which this is fully in your control, select something that's in high demand by observing the marketplace. And then finally, be irreplaceable in any endeavor, and you can secure yourself the ability to make money in perpetuity. 2 years ago, TikTok rolled around and took over, and they introduced distribution. Your ability to reach people that have never interacted with your content before via the For You or the Explore.
This is what exploded for me. I mean, we had a video day before yesterday, get 52 million views. The distribution is insane.
And you can quantify it. So somebody do the math for me. So 52 million views. Let's say your Facebook CPM on the cheap side is $7. Tell me how much in paid traffic that video generated. So you just have to divide it.
742,857.
So you get $750,000 worth of impressions for free because you've mastered distribution marketing.
And you don't need a big following. If you look at the numbers behind that video, 99% of the views are new followers.
For you and
brand new people.
So now people have no excuse, because people used to have the excuse, hey, I need to master paid traffic. I need to either find an agency. I need to learn it myself. I got to spend money. I don't have it. Okay, well, I get it. Today, it's no longer the case because you have distribution marketing.